Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me, as always, is Morgan.
Hello, once again.
Okay, let's start today with the breaking news. Big Hit just tweeted today that there's going to be a tour in April 2020 for what appears to be BTS.
Okay, good.
And it doesn't say it's BTS.
I would assume they'd have a tour in 2020, right?
Yeah, I would assume. Why wouldn't they? We weren't expecting any kind of tour announcement yet, but it kind of makes sense because it takes longer to plan a tour than to finish an album, I would think.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. They want to make money, so they should be touring.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, moving parts involved. You got to, book the stadiums and see what...
There's no details yet, so...
But it says...
But we could have assumed there would be a tour.
The picture they posted is, not cryptic, but it doesn't actually say BTS. It just has their symbol on the bottom, and it has, 7 figures that are reflected in water.
Okay.
But, Big Hit posted it, so it can only be either BTS or TXT, and
they don't have 7 members.
They don't have 7 people. So that rules them out.
They're going to have a tour, obviously. They should. They should make money while the iron is hot.
Yeah.
We could have assumed there would be a tour. When does Jin have to enlist, though? He has to leave.
I think by the end of 2020.
Oh, so it doesn't affect it.
It doesn't, but people don't necessarily wait till the last minute. Sometimes they're like, oh, it's time to go.
Well, we don't know when the tour ends either, though.
Yeah. And maybe they're still working on their exemption.
It's possible. You just never know.
Anything's possible. So I also saw on Twitter, just now, that some people in, radio stations implying that they're going to stop in San Francisco this time, which they didn't last time. So... that would be good news for us.
Well, you're doxing yourself. You just revealed that you live in Northern California.
Well, yeah.
But that's a big area. But yes, that would be convenient. But it's okay to go to LA too. It's not that inconvenient or anything. And certainly they will definitely go to LA.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
Really like LA.
There's nothing about liking it. There's a lot of K-pop fans there and you can make money there. They sold out 2 stadium concerts there.
I just don't know why it's disproportionately SoCal, because there's tons of Asians in Northern California.
I bet it's not. But you have to understand that K-pop being a big thing in the States is new to the companies, right? These are Korean companies. Mm-hmm. It's not an American company. If it's an American company, they'd be more familiar with the demographics and the lay of the land in the United States. But we can't assume that a Korean company is necessarily that familiar with it.
Right.
Right. When they think America, they think LA, New York.
They do.
Yeah. Right. Something like that. And then so you can say, well, you're just ignorant about this. Maybe they are. Why should they be that familiar with our country? It does make sense. They should be. They should learn to be familiar because there's money to be made if you know your stuff. But maybe the first time around, we're not that aware of that.
They just want to go to the sure thing.
Yeah, and also remember when they planned that tour, they didn't necessarily know that BTS would be as much of a phenom that is we know now, right? They didn't necessarily know that. Mm-hmm. You don't know when this previous tour was planned. So there could be a lot of reasons, logical reasons they didn't go to Northern California. But I do agree, plenty of fans in Northern California, plenty of Asians, plenty of K-pop fans, we would assume, because of that. Plenty of money. People can spend money on these concerts.
There's multiple stadiums, too, that they could choose from.
No, there's really only one.
You think only Levi Stadium?
Well, yeah, what
about AT&T?
It's not big enough.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Its max capacity is 45,000, 40,000, something like that. I believe that they'll want something like 60. Yeah. And they'll want to do 2 nights.
Well, that's why I figured why they went to the Rose Bowl, because it's so big.
So I figure that they'll want to do 60K per night and probably do two nights on a weekend. That's my guess. That's the most efficient, and they are pretty confident probably they can sell those tickets. Mm-hmm. Levi's is just, okay, so you're going to go to 80. Well, you would effectively be leaving 40,000 tickets on the table, right? Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money that you're giving up there. Mm-hmm. If you're confident that you can sell 120,000 at Levi or at 8 or at where the Giants play, anyway, no, it's Oracle now. By the way, you'd only sell 80 something.
Right.
And it's also weird. It's a weird shape for a concert.
Right.
It's a very, very weird shape. It's really, I don't want to, I mean, this is going to bore people. I don't want to get in that much into it, but it was really specifically built for baseball.
Well, yeah, baseball stadium is going to be a different shape than a football.
Baseball stadiums can be very weird shapes, very idiosyncratic shapes. Don't want to get too much into it, but baseball doesn't have regulation field size.
Right.
And people do like when parks have weird little idiosyncrasies, and their left field is super short or their right field is super short, things like that.
Right. I was just going to say, didn't they make it easier for Barry Bonds to hit home runs because of how they built?
They made the left field wall super right. I mean the right field because he's
yeah,
left-hander.
yeah.
So they made that super short, but only right down the line where he could specifically pull it. But in general, right field is actually pretty deep, unless you're so skilled that you can pull it very precisely, which he could. And then he broke the record, obviously. Obviously, he also took steroids, so that helped. But I don't care. He still owns that record. Everybody was taking it. We won't get into that. But it's a very strangely shaped field. Unlike any stadium that is meant for football, will have more standard shape.
Yeah, it's just going to be a rectangle.
Yes, whereas this particular park is a very odd shape. It's not really great for a concert. I've never seen a concert there, in fact. I know they have them there, but they have to deal with certain challenges. And it probably even reduces the amount of seats you can offer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good for them. They're going to have a tour.
I hope that they do some kind of system. I mean, that would be easier if they had like Ticketmaster, like verified fan or something like that, instead of just like
I doubt it.
Everybody log in at the same time.
I don't care. I don't think they care.
It crashes and
we're just going to have to get them on StubHub and pay a premium.
Right.
Most likely.
Do you think they are going to charge more than the last tour?
They should.
I mean, they probably should.
This is capitalism.
But...
I mean, supply and demand dictate that they should charge more. I know people don't want to hear that, but hey, they should charge more. It's actually, in a roundabout way, potentially good for you as a fan, because if they charge more, it might discourage some scalping.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put it this way. The market always wins. So when artists charge too little, the market senses that. And by what I mean when I say the market senses it, I mean scalpers know, oh wait, this act is super popular. These tickets are only X amount. I'm going to buy a bunch of them.
Well, I think that's kind of the benefit of, how America isn't totally clued in on BTS and K-pop, because I don't think scalpers were paying that much attention last time.
I think.
No, last time they weren't really paying attention.
Oh yeah, but this is 2020. It's not going to be
because we got
the
tickets and it was like 100 or 120 or whatever it was.
Is that what you think it was?
I think so. I looked at the ticket.
That was the face value of the tickets.
Oh, we paid more than okay.
I paid a lot more on StubHub. We won't say how much here, but I
Okay.
paid a lot more on StubHub.
You gave profit to the person who resold it.
That's quaint that you think that that's all that was paid.
Oh.
That was the face value of the tickets. So anyway, back to what I was saying. The market will always correct pricing errors. So when artists don't charge enough, it's really they're the only ones that suffer. The people who benefit are scalpers, because people who rush in to correct the market inefficiencies, in this case scalpers, they're the ones that profit. Mm-hmm. And one could argue that they deserve to profit because they're correcting your inefficiencies, they're correcting your pricing mistake, essentially, right? And if you were a smart businessman, you would notice that your tickets, in 2018 went for X amount on StubHub. And you're like, oh, wait, we should have charged more. Okay, next time you can charge more, right? And then you can pocket the money instead of scalpers, which I think everybody would agree is preferable. Nobody is itching to give money to scalpers. We'd rather give the money go to BTS or, more realistically, probably Big Hit and then BTS. But whatever, at least BTS gets some of the money. If you're pricing things incorrectly, it mostly goes to scalpers.
Yeah.
Which is, not the greatest. I'm not going to say it's immoral or anything. I've been a scalper. We won't go into details, but I've made a lot of money just like, I can buy these tickets, and I bought a bunch and resold them. But these are people correcting market inefficiencies. And I think last time they were here, if they were paying attention, they will realize that they should probably raise the prices of their tickets, which is going to be in a roundabout way good for people, I think. Unless you were one of the very lucky ones who were able to get in before the scalpers and buy tickets, then maybe you got a super low price. But, the honest truth is most people don't. So it should just be priced close to the fair market value initially. And that would be best for both the artist and for the audience, I think. Because there's more stability in the pricing. Right, it's kind of a dicey game to play. It's like, oh, do I buy it now? Do I buy it later? And like, this is mental energy you don't necessarily want to spend on. You just want to have fun and go buy a ticket, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want to become like you're playing the stock market or something when you're buying a ticket. But that's what's happening if things are priced incorrectly, and then now everything is on the secondary market. Everything is on the secondary market, and you have to play this stock market game, right? Then you have to devote mental energy to that. It's not pleasant, right? Nobody likes to feel like, oh, did I get ripped off or whatever? It's like, just price it correctly, please. And then I'll decide if I'm willing to pay that amount to watch your show. Mm-hmm. And then if I am, good. I'll pay it, and then I don't have to think so much about the secondary market and things like that. So backtracking, tickets will be more expensive, but it will be good for consumers because it's just correcting the market inefficiency. Yeah. I think they undercharged last time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really think they undercharge.
Like, whatever the face value ticket was, it did seem like lower than it should have been.
Yes. If you see another American artist like Taylor Swift, I paid a lot more for Taylor Swift tickets. Face value. Mm-hmm. Paid a lot more. And I would argue that BTS is just as big of a draw as Taylor Swift at this moment.
Yeah, they're both at stadiums.
Right. So I don't see why one should have a higher ticket price. She is able to sustain those higher prices, by the way. People still buy those tickets. And they still buy it on the aftermarket. They pay a premium to scalpers. So there's no reason BTS shouldn't raise its prices from the last time around. And this will be good for people. It might seem like, oh, we got to pay higher prices. But trust me, on average, I think the consumer will pay less. Because remember, when a scalper buys and resells a ticket, they usually do it on a service like StubHub or something. And since StubHub has to take a percentage, 15% if I recall, they sort of price that into it, right? That's priced into it. And so you pay another premium on top of the scalper premium. You're paying more, trust me. If the artist prices it close to market value initially, it is better for everybody. It is. Except for the scalper. But, I don't think anybody cares about them.
And I know there's probably some people that are like, well, it's going to be too expensive, so maybe I won't even go because it's not going to be worth it. And it's like, just trust me, it's worth it going to see BTS live. Like, compared to some groups we've seen, it's like it's definitely put on a really good show. They're dancing. It's definitely a
good show.
They're singing the whole time.
Whether it's worth it or not, that's up to you to decide. That's a personal decision you have to make it involves your financial situation and everything like that. So, whether something is worth it or not is a personal call you have to make. But the show is definitely good.
Yeah.
I can tell you, compared to other music acts, it is top notch. They don't, do I want to name names here? No one will hear, so no one cares. But there are other people who sort of phone it in. Like, I remember I sat like front row to a Rihanna concert, and she just phoned the whole damn thing in. It's not like she couldn't sing or whatever, but you could tell it was just sing a song really quick and then boom, next song. It was just sort of, let's just get through this as soon as possible. I have something to do. It really did feel like that.
Right. And she didn't do a lot of like talking to people and American artists don't do as much of that, but still she did very little.
Less than any other American artist I've ever seen. To be fair, a lot of American artists do a lot of that sort of stuff, the audience interaction.
Yeah.
She did pretty much zero.
Like Katy Perry does a lot of that. Taylor Swift does a lot of that.
And also her set pieces were not that interesting. Another group that I felt like if they phoned it in and then they just rushed through, they had no audience interaction, was Black Eyed Peas. But then at least their set pieces were spectacular. They had a lot of stuff going on, right? Let's just put it this way. In every single way, BTS is going to give you your money's worth. face value of ticket. If you're gonna want to compare face value of ticket versus any other concert you'll see, they give you your money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't say that it's worth it because even when, like, let's say Ferrari is being offered at 30% off. It's a good value. I mean, you should buy it if you want one and you have the money, right? But if you can't afford an expensive car like that, it's still not worth it to get, right? It's still not a good idea for you to buy because it's too expensive. It's out of your price range. So it's a very personal, you have to personally decide whether or not it's worth it for you, right? But I will say that compared to other acts, they give you more value. Definitely. If there's anything you can afford to see, I would see them. If you can only afford one ticket, buy that ticket. It will be a better show than what you will get from pretty much anyone. And I've seen like, I've seen almost everyone in concert except for all the acts I hate. And I think that people know which ones I hate. Billie Eilish, Ed Sheeran, Ariana Grande. That's it. Actually, I don't hate that many. I don't think I really hate that many. But anyway, I've seen a lot of people, and they give a way better performance than, let me try to think. Yes, than any of them. Mm-hmm. I would say than any of them. There were other concerts that were amazing, but the artists themselves contribute a smaller percentage of the amazing. Like they had just a lot of spectacle. They had a lot of production value.
Yeah.
Right.
Like whereas really BTS, big video screens.
Right. Whereas BTS personally, they contribute the most to that production value. Dancing, et cetera, singing, et cetera. They contributed the most to it. Whereas other artists still give you a great show, but maybe it's from paying other people a lot to produce a spectacle, a show.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's fine. That's a kind of great show. But you would prefer to see the artists do these things, probably.
It's kind of like Beyonce's singing, and that's good and all, but then it's like 100 dancers, and then, then there's like a bunch of the song where she's not singing, and it's just like a dance break for like a while.
Right. And, if you're there in concert, I'm sure it is an amazing experience. There's a spectacle to it, and people enjoy it. But what is she doing in that? Very little. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's something to think about. If you can afford to go, please go. And if you get a ticket in San Francisco or LA, hit us up because we're going to be there. We'll meet up. I'll buy you a drink or something.
I really hope that...
First 10 people only.
It's like the 3 hours of the show are amazing and incredible and life-changing. It's just the before and after that's like death almost. It's like trying to get in. It takes forever. I hope they improve that process.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the logistics of it totally depend on the venue. Because you're talking about the Rose Bowl, which is obviously garbage as far as getting in. I feel that the Rose Bowl, it's in the canyon or something. I've only been to the Rose Bowl for a BTS concert, and I feel like they put it in the most inconvenient place ever. And I don't know why they put it there. It's in a canyon, and I believe there's like 2 small inconvenient roads that lead out of it.
Like you couldn't leave. There was nowhere to go.
And even if you wanted to sort of walk out of it, you had to walk up some sort of ridge. I don't know. I was drunk at the time.
You had to walk a few miles.
Right. And through like residential areas. That can't be fun for the people living close. They should really tear that place down. That is a terrible
They need to
location.
start over with that.
Yeah. That should just be expensive LA homes.
Yeah.
Do we need the Rose Bowl? Do we need the Rose Bowl? They have that new SoFi Stadium now. Just go play all their stuff over there, man. It's in Inglewood. First of all, Inglewood is flat. I'm not that familiar with LA, but I am familiar. Yeah, Inglewood is flat, right? So, and it has all these nice freeways sort of crisscrossing near it. So I'm sure the traffic is better, even though in LA having a freeway nearby, I think literally means shit because everything is everything is jammed all the time. I hate LA and I hate the traffic there. But anyway, that's besides the point. It's at least got to be better than the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl is in an area. If I can describe this to people who are, if you're not familiar with this, okay, so basically
inaccessible almost.
Imagine like a wooded canyon where nice middle-class homes are. Although these days with housing prices in LA, they're not middle-class homes anymore. They're upper-class homes. But it's a nice, quiet, wooded area. And you think it's just going to be all homes, right? Because it's a very inaccessible place. Yeah, that's what should be there. But in the middle of it, they plopped a gigantic stadium. Whose idea was that? Whose idea was that?
It made no sense. Like, you can't get your Lyft or Uber in there quickly. You
Yeah,
can't leave quickly.
Imagine if you had a nice, quiet suburbia in a canyon. That's wonderful. Now plop a stadium in there. Why? I don't know. Why is it there? It's there, though. I can guarantee you that is a situation that's there. Usually stadiums are, off to the side where nothing's really going on because you don't want it interfering with all the traffic, right?
Yeah.
Or they're in the middle of a city center, which is not convenient traffic-wise, but if it's in the middle of a metro area, they kind of expect you to use public transport to get there, right?
Yeah, and that's fair.
You're not expected to drive and park there. That's fair. That's fine. We assume that you built the proper public transport to get there. There's no subway or bus system going to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
It is literally one of these little
only cars.
quiet suburban areas that has only a few roads coming in and it's not convenient, and they put a stadium there. And I really don't understand what the logic of that was. Maybe they built the stadium first and then the houses cropped up later or something like that.
There's too many houses. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what it is, but it was the most hellish experience of my life. I believe the concert took 3 hours, and I believe it took 3 hours to get out of there, which involved walking, hurting my feet, looking at my phone, like, where's this Uber going to pick me up? And then the Uber saying, no, I got to pick you up here. Like, here is a mile away. Like, yeah, but go here, because for whatever reason, the traffic will only let me go here. Like, okay, now I have to walk a mile over there? Can you imagine if you were a woman and you were in heels? You just want to die. Oh, my God. So if it's the Rose Bowl again, I highly advise you don't go there. You should probably fly to Dallas or something and just see it there. You'll have a much better time. Trust me.
Yeah, some of these other cities are like much better planned for stadiums and traffic.
If they go to Dallas, it's going to be in Cowboy Stadium, which, number one, Cowboy Stadium, much nicer than the Rose Bowl, by the way. Super high tech. There's a gigantic screen. You'll love it. Number two, the stadium is situated in the middle of nowhere. The only thing that's it's just a stadium.
Perfect.
That's it. All cars going there and leaving that area are there simply for the stadium. And there's a lot of freeways and parking, and you'll get in and out. Even when the capacity is like, I think it's like 85,000. It's a very, very big stadium. But it's still efficient. So one of the best stadiums in the country. Go to Dallas. Don't go to the Rose Bowl. Or drive up north to Santa Clara. Oh, but no, that stadium is also not in the... It kind of has the same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have the valley so much, but it's got similar problems. It's still a crowded
area.
Yeah, and the area itself is very crowded. It's in the Silicon Valley, which has become one of the most crowded places on Earth.
And it's right next to Great America or something, right? And it's like the same parking lot
it's not
area.
Yeah. So go to Dallas. If you can afford it, go to Dallas. Get a ticket in Dallas, go to Dallas. You'll have a much better time. Unless you want to deal with traffic for 3 hours afterwards.
Yeah, so Big Hit's tweet says, stay tuned, April 2020. I wonder if they are going to start on the West Coast again and then go east.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I'm not even speculating. I mean, it doesn't really matter. We'll be here whenever they're here.
Yeah.
We'll see them, right?
Yep.
But I wonder if TXT is going to be an opener, I bet. Right? I mean, they don't have enough songs that have their own tour, do they?
That's true.
They should be an opener.
Different for K-pop if Big Hit was just like, let's put all our acts together and into one tour. That'd be.
I would like to see it.
I
like TXT.
I like them
now.
just as much too. So as an opener.
Really, you like them as much?
Well, maybe not as much, but I'm willing to get there early enough to see them as well.
I only like 2 of their songs, but they're good. I have a theory that maybe they're going to be filling in for BTS. They're just going to pull members like the reserve squad.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So you're thinking it's like an SM where it's like we have you fill in over here.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Why not? They're good. I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a sports fan, so that I just think that way. But I mean, if you have a missing player, I mean, in sports, it's not uncommon for your stars to be out, right? But the show must go on. You have to win. You have to compete. You pull out reserves. What are their reserves?
Interesting is like a lot of these groups, they all learn each other's choreography anyway.
Yeah.
It's like they're ready, especially in the same label.
Just get some TXT members.
I'm sure they know it.
I don't know. I don't know how other BTS. I don't know how BTS fans would feel about that, but I'll be totally okay with it. It would actually even be kind of interesting to me. You're like, oh, how well does this guy fill in for Jin, for Suga, right? I mean, if you listen long enough, people know that I don't love Suga, so I don't like him that much. So I probably think that TXT members would fill in just fine, and I think it'd be good. And you know what? You might agree. Sometimes the backup comes in, and people are emotionally attached to the starters. Of course, that's natural. But the backup comes in and they kill it, and you realize, well, hey, we're better off now. It happens. It happens in sports. Don't think it can't happen in a situation like this. Well, no, it probably couldn't happen in a situation like this. People are so emotionally attached.
The picture they posted, it showed 7 figures. Like, you can't tell who they are. So
True.
That's kind of leaving it open-ended.
But the only reason why I don't think it would happen is that TXT seems like a very good group on its own.
Right. Maybe
they have their own thing going.
They want to grow their audience.
I don't think Big Hit would want to just sort of tear them apart, just like rip people out and just have them substitute for BTS members.
I wouldn't mind if they toured together, though. That would be cool.
I think that more likely if enlistment happens piecemeal, they're just going to do subgroups, and BTS is just going to be a 5-member group for a couple years. And I think people will sort of just deal with it, right? I think they will. Because especially since BTS seems pretty well balanced. Like, I don't think any 2 members being gone will destroy it.
Yeah, because they have 3 rappers, 4 vocals. Yeah,
it's a pretty well balanced group in that sense, as opposed to Big Bang.
Right.
Like, for Big Bang, the 2 years that G-Dragon's gone, it just doesn't exist. So
he kind of carried the group, you would say?
Not me, not just me. Everybody would say that. He's the biggest star.
Right.
I mean, he's just the biggest name in K-pop, honestly. It's maybe like if you just came on in the last year and started liking BTS, you don't know this, but G-Dragon he's K-pop.
Well, I just know Bang Bang Bang.
Yeah, but
from him.
Well, he is the big name, right? As far as an individual person, he carries a lot of weight. So, and he's back now, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes about taking his crown back.
Right.
Because he was on top. Before he left, he was on top.
I think he's well on his way because he just had a shoe line and it sold out immediately or something.
I don't care about shoes.
But yeah, that just shows he's still
Colin
popular.
Kaepernick sells shoes, and he doesn't have a job in football. So it doesn't mean anything to me, okay? I want to hear his music, which I'm not saying I'm doubting. I think that he'll come out with great music. Hey, I'm an admitted YG partisan. I like the vibe of YG. I like everything about it. Even the criminality, I like it. I'm not trying to say he's a criminal, but I like that edge. We've gone into this before. So G-Dragon, I like him.
That must be weird to be away from everything for, 18 months or however long it was. Do you think he still has I have all these ideas for songs?
I'm sure he does. He's an artist, you know?
Yeah.
He's not senile or anything. What is he, 28, 29 or something like that? And I'm sure that he wasn't in some brutal training. We've been over this before. When you're in service or anything, you're not so busy that you can't, work on stuff.
You can jot down some lyrics.
Of course you can. And I'm sure that they do some things, right? But let's be real. They're not at war. Service is kind of perfunctory for most people. Not even celebrities, just most people. I bet it's pretty perfunctory. You kind of learn some stuff and, sort of like basic training, right? And then, hey, here's your job. Do it for 18 months and then you leave. I bet it's even easier for celebrities. What world do celebrities not get preferential treatment? What jacked up world doesn't give preferential treatment to celebrities? Every rational, fair world gives preferential treatment to celebrities. And I'm sure South Korea is no different. He didn't get super preferential treatment. I mean, he couldn't avoid service, which would be the most preferential. But I'm sure that he didn't have to do much stuff either. So he was able to work on stuff, and maybe write a few songs and practice some things. And he's going to come out, guns blazing. He's going to have some stuff. Trust me, people are going to see what that guy's all about.
I read somewhere that said...
He's like Michael Jackson coming back from I don't know. He's not a pedophile, so I don't want to compare him to... But anyway, he is that big. He's like the Michael Jackson of K-pop.
I read somewhere that said YG owns the name G-Dragon, so if he were to
Yes, that's correct.
switch labels, he can't call himself that.
Right.
Not that he would switch labels, but I
Well,
guess
he could
he's
if he
kind
wants
of
to. If he wants to.
stuck there if he wants
No,
to
he's not.
keep calling himself G-Dragon.
He doesn't need to keep calling himself that. Let me give you an example. In America, we have a very famous actor, maybe the best, most reliable box office draw right now, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. His name is The Rock from this stupid. He used to be a pro wrestler, right? So he had that stupid name, right? But he often goes by Dwayne Johnson. If he can't use The Rock anymore, which I don't think he does anymore, right? So who cares? He would just say, use his real name, Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
He's so big that I know who that is. Just put your face there.
Right.
We know who you are. Your face is there. So, yeah, G-Dragon can totally survive if he wants to leave YG. I don't think he will. I think that he's tied to the apparatus of YG. Like, there's songwriters and things I mean, even if G-Dragon left, Teddy Park can't leave, right? He's tied to YG.
Right. If he wants to keep working with him.
Yeah. I mean, part of the appeal of YG is Teddy Park and their producers and their songwriters and things like that. They create a lot of the sound of YG, which is so associated with G-Dragon at this point. So I don't think he's going to leave. And YG is in a very weak position now due to, we won't get into it, other controversies, things like that. And a contract negotiation, G-Dragon can probably negotiate a pretty friendly deal for himself.
Right.
He has the leverage in this relationship. He doesn't have to sign with YG again. You have the name, doesn't matter. He'll just use his real name then. Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? Right? So he will have the leverage to sign a good deal with YG. Right? And I think it's better for him to not start anew. Just go with like the apparatus that you're comfortable with. And he has a good working relationship with the people there, I'm sure. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he hates those people and he'll sign with P Nation.
Yeah, I'm hearing like P Nation is like great for artists. Like they let you do whatever and they're not.
I don't know if they let you do whatever, but compared to other Korean
They're not
labels,
cracking the whip as much.
Yeah, they let you do whatever. But they're probably still more disciplined than American.
But I think maybe a little more artistic freedom.
I would assume so, yes. I would assume they have a little more artistic freedom. And I think that's good. I think there's room for all of it, right? I think that a lot of what appeals to people with K-pop is a byproduct of this very structured, rigid system that they have, where, people crack the whip and trainees have to train X amount of hours a day, and they're just that much more practiced and disciplined, and you like that product. So in a lot of ways, it produces good product for you. But at the same time, I think there's room for a more relaxed label, a more quote-unquote Western label, if you will, to let artists explore their creativity. Maybe you have to, grow up in one of these rigid systems, and then once you have clout and once you're older, then you can go to P Nation.
Right.
It seems like that's what the
it's like
pattern
they're taking
is.
the older artists.
Right, they want creative freedom, and hopefully that works out for them. I believe that there is room for both. There's no reason why the whole country has to subscribe to one type of label. Why would that be? No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in any single country, there's room for all sorts of stuff. There's like vegetarian restaurants and there's steakhouses. Why, like, we wouldn't say a country has to only have steakhouses or only have vegetarian restaurants. No, there's room for both. I think there's room for like a P Nation, and I think there's room for SM, which would probably be the antithesis of P Nation.
Mm-hmm.
But there's room for both. I think there's room for both. So hopefully both exist.
On December 14th, BTS performed at the Japan official fan meeting in Osaka. After the fan meeting, RM and V both had a V Live to talk to fans. And one thing that was very interesting about RM's V Live is that he revealed that he's on his 34th pair of AirPods.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
So basically a fan was like telling him, I lost my AirPods after I just got them. And he's
I feel for him.
And he's like, we can be friends because I've lost 33 pairs.
Well, we both have AirPods. Have you ever lost AirPods?
No.
Have you ever? Oh wow, you're very responsible. Wonderful. That's very good. Well, I have lost AirPods, and that's kind of a funny story. So basically, I lost my pair of AirPods, right? And then I said no problem. I had not had AirPods that long at that moment, so that's embarrassing. I actually lost them kind of pretty soon after I bought them, and then I said, oh, no problem. I'll just use regular earphones. I'm used to using regular earphones anyway. So then I picked up my phone. I picked up my regular earphones, and then I looked at it and I realized that I had recently upgraded my phone to a phone that doesn't have an earphone jack. I said, God damn it. What the? I'm sure this was done for my convenience or something, but anyway, that was the biggest moment of first world problems that I've ever experienced in my life.
Mm-hmm.
My AirPods are gone. My phone is too upgraded and now it no longer accepts a lowly headphone jack.
Yeah, it's got to be a Bluetooth
now
connection.
I can't listen to music for about an hour's period of time, like my commute home to work from work. I felt terrible. I felt like the most persecuted person on earth, I'll be honest with you. Intellectually, I understand that that's a very privileged and stupid way to feel. But at the time, I can't help that emotionally, I felt really bad about it. I felt like, I don't know, the world was against me, or why is this happening? Why is that happening? It's Apple's fault. It's
like, why me?
It's this entity's fault, and I didn't think it was my fault for losing anything.
They're easy to lose. They're small.
Easy to lose.
They just
yes.
fall out of your ear.
Even the case is easy to lose. And also, they suck. Can I say this? Can I rant about AirPods? They suck. Okay? I am no longer an AirPod person. I've had like 3 different AirPods. Nowhere near RM level, but 3 different AirPods. They're easy to lose. They slip out of your ear unless you get little extensions to like create
the rubber things.
The rubber seal in your ear. Yeah. But then you have to have those little rubber things on you all the time.
Yeah. You got to put it on and
off
every time. And
you have to stick it on the AirPod every single time. These are all inconveniences that I don't need. Okay? All right? And also, I don't even have an iPhone. I have an Android. So the only reason why I got an AirPod is because I didn't do my research and I didn't realize there were other really, really solid and cheaper wireless earphone options. There's good stuff out there. Just do your research. Go to Amazon. There's stuff with the little rubber thing. Has better sound. Has better everything. You just don't get to, show everybody that you bought AirPods.
Yeah.
AirPods suck.
Like I saw at Costco.
That is the bottom line.
There's like multiple kinds now. There's like any kind you want of like earbuds
AirPods
that are wireless.
Suck. AirPods suck. Just go try a bunch out. Just trust me. You'll see. I mean, you get like lower profile, better sound quality, longer battery life. You'll get all of these things for less money. The only thing you can't have, I don't know, I guess is the status of wearing AirPods. But is it even status anymore? I look at people who have AirPods and I just think, you're a douche. Even though, yeah, I was that person for a long while. And but I kept losing them. But I still have some. But I have since bought like $50 pair from Amazon, and they are so much better. I don't even know the name brand. It's not a name brand, but they're so much better, and that's what I'm going with now. And they're lower profile too. They just look like hearing aids, whereas AirPods have the stick that comes down.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't like that part. Why does it have to be showing?
So people know you bought AirPods. Because it's like, I bought AirPods, guys. Look at me. I have money. It's like, congratulations, you have $160. So what? It's like, yeah, but I have the money to lose them all the time. It's like, congratulations, you're stupid. Is this something you want to be known for? Like maybe in high school, this is a great status symbol or whatever, but it's been a long time since I've been in high school, so I don't care. I just want a product that is good and cost efficient and works and fulfills my needs. AirPods are not it. And if you're looking for a wireless headphone, I would say anything from like a $20 option on Amazon to like a $70 on Amazon or any of these other options, way better. And AirPods recently came out with AirPods Pro, which basically made the profile smaller and put that rubber thing on. Like, welcome to 2016. Everything else has had that rubber seal in it, and you just now put that in there?
Yeah.
And for the honor of having all of these quote unquote upgrades, the thing costs like $280 or something now.
It's like, I'm not going to pay that much
Yeah.
for...
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. So, unfortunately, Apple already got a bunch of my money. We bought AirPods. I know you bought AirPods. I bought AirPods. I lost some. I still have some. I just throw them to the side because I found better, cheaper, superior alternatives. So, my advice, if you're thinking about getting them, don't. Get just a no-name thing on Amazon. Do your research. Buy something that has good sound, good battery life. It's going to be cheaper too. Trust me. Get that. The only thing you don't get from it is the, hey, I'm a person who wears AirPods, guys. Like, so if that matters to you a lot, I guess buy them. But just know that if you don't put the little rubber extensions on them, which, by the way, costs extra too, that's a third-party thing, to buy a little rubber extension. If you don't buy that, they're going to slip out of your ear probably. You're going to lose them.
Yeah, they're too slippery.
Yeah.
And the sound isn't like enclosed in your ear.
Yeah, unless you buy the little rubber thing. And even that is not that great because it's a third-party thing. Unless you buy the AirPods Pro, which fixes all those problems, but bumps the price up to like $280. Or was it like $240? Anyway, it's really damn expensive. That's expensive. You can get something that is just as good for like $50 on Amazon. Trust me. Do your research.
Like, for how much this story got out there, or I'm talking about his AirPods, I feel like Tim Cook should just give him a bunch of free AirPods.
He should. And also, how the hell do you lose that many? I bet you anything he doesn't put an extender in it. Right?
There's just so much travel that they do. It's
Yeah.
like it's in a bag somewhere, and
Right.
you don't have the case with it, or you drop one falls out. You
Right.
know? And RM is known for losing things.
I mean, yeah, I would lose stuff like that all the time. So, yeah, totally
that was
understandable.
A funny story.
But the moral of the story is don't buy AirPods. There's way better alternatives out there. Trust me, that are cheaper.
So, according to Gallup Korea, Jimin from BTS has ranked as the top idol, second year in a row. Let's see. He ranked number 1 for females aged 13 to 18, females aged 19 to 29, and same thing for
Really?
males.
Okay.
And ranked number 1 in the survey.
Interesting.
19.1% respondents
Well, I trust Gallup.
chose Jimin.
Gallup is trustworthy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought he'd be the most popular, but okay, I guess he is.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. There's a lot of idols to choose from.
I thought Jungkook and V were the most popular.
Well, they are in the at the top. Like, number 1 was Jimin, number 2 is IU, and
Which
then
makes sense.
Jungkook was 3 and V was 4, and then Nayeon.
Oh, so
from
maybe it was
Twice.
close.
Yeah, Nayeon from Twice was 5. So.
Oh, well, maybe all of these are close. So, it's
Yeah.
all just kind of, yeah.
And it could also
I
depend,
believe it.
How they gather the data for that. What kind of a survey was it?
Well, I would assume that Gallup runs a scientifically rigorous survey.
Right.
Or not even survey. Survey is the wrong word for it. Survey implies that something is not scientifically rigorous. It should be a poll. Polls are scientifically rigorous if done correctly. And Gallup, I would assume, would do that. They're not like Cosmo or whatever, or like Teen Vogue or some
They have
garbage
a
like that.
representative sample.
They actually, yes. And I don't want to bore people with the details of how this works, but basically, to get a scientifically rigorous poll, you have to create a representative sample and you have to enforce that sample. So you have to get a list of names and say, these 2,000 names are representative of Korea or America or whatever it is, right? And by the way, 2,000 is always pretty much statistically enough. You could get a better result with 4,000 people or 10,000 people, but it's only incrementally better than 2,000. So 2,000 is a sweet spot. But the problem is you have to rigorously enforce this sample. So if you say that the way you used to do it is they create a list of 2,000 names and their phone numbers, and you'd have to call them, and you have to get answers from all these people.
Right.
You couldn't just say, or you couldn't call them and then they would say, I don't feel like answering your poll, and then you just say, okay, too bad, bye, thanks though, right? You couldn't do that. Because what if the people who said that, felt a certain way
You
disproportionately.
needed that representation.
Right, you needed their opinions to be represented because you had already created the sample, which you decided was accurate, right? So you can't let a portion of your sample not respond.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to pressure them to respond and get an accurate response from them.
But if you don't, you have to let me replace that with another person that's the same demographic.
It's very difficult. Yeah, there's an art to it, and that's why polls come out with different numbers, and that's why polls are not necessarily always accurate. And even a very accurate poll still has a plus minus of like 3%, right? If your sample is 2,000, that's your plus minus. I don't know how rigorous they were about a poll about K-pop artists, but it was from Gallup, so I would like to assume that they did their jobs and it was rigorous.
Yeah, I wonder what is the question that they asked. It's like,
who's your favorite?
It's like, which Korean idol do you like? Who's your number one? And so the people at the top, it's idols that everybody feels positive about. Like, there's not anything negative you can really say. So it's like everybody loves BTS, everybody likes IU, everybody likes the Twice.
Are you sure? I don't think that's necessarily true. Doesn't IU have like some controversies?
Does she? I'm like not really up to date on
I think
what she's all about.
She might be a little more polarizing than neutral, but yeah, she's generally popular. But obviously, it's going to be filled with the popular groups. That makes sense, right? Well, I'm glad. It's the people I like. No, I don't like IU.
I don't really get IU. Is she more like a ballad singer?
No,
or?
She's just a solo artist. She's super popular.
Okay.
I get her, kind of. No, I don't actually. I don't get her. It's a Korean thing. This Gallup poll was taken in Korea, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
And also, Jimin's at number one, and it said 12.8% of respondents chose him as the number one. So it's not like it was like.
Well, what was number two at?
Two is. Oh, it didn't say the percent, but.
Oh. Didn't say the percent.
IU, but it must have been less than 12.8%.
Obviously, but it might have been like 12 and then 10 and then 8 and then 8.
Yeah.
So these are not like gigantic
it might
differences.
Have been close. It's just
right.
like
nobody has a majority or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not like he had like 90% or something.
I mean, it makes sense because there's so many artists. But I like the names out there. Nayeon's my favorite and Twice. So I was happy to see that. No, I wasn't happy. I want to retract that. I'm not one of those people that gets happy at these things. But she's my favorite. And also my favorite, Jungkook and V. I don't like Jimin that much, so I don't understand. But then, like you said, it's just 12% of respondents.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like 70% of people love him, and then I have to wonder, like, wait, why? Why do so many people love him and I don't get it? Like, well, it's just 12%, you know?
Yeah. I love that Gallup Korea this is what they're focused on. It's like, which
you don't know
idol?
you don't know there was focused on that. I'm sure they also do politics and things like that.
Right. It's like, who are you voting for the next election?
Right. I'm sure they do all that
That's
stuff.
their other polls.
But just like Gallup America, they do like fun stuff too. But then you know what? I'm gonna guess that their fun stuff is not as scientifically rigorous as their political stuff.
Then again, yeah, it's like South
It
Korea.
might be
They're
more
very
like
competitive, so it's like we must rank everything.
It might be like more like a survey, you know. What I'm trying to say is they maybe don't enforce the sample as vigorously, which would harm, and they may not care that much in sample creation, which would harm the accuracy of it, right? Like one of the worst things you can do in polling is to let self-respondents dominate. Like you can't let people who want to respond to a poll disproportionately affect the poll, because those people might have different types of opinions, right? Because they want to respond to a poll, but that doesn't necessarily represent the people in the country. Like, how about the people who don't really feel like responding to polls? What's their opinion, right? If you're not capturing that opinion in the proportion that they exist, then your poll is flawed. And that's why creating samples and enforcing samples is so important. And I can't imagine that they care that much about a poll like this to really, really vigorously enforce that. So it might be closer to just a survey, or they just put it out there, maybe even online, and just say, who's your favorite? And then that's subject to, of course, fans and the different fan bases mobilizing and things like that. It's just an online vote, which is subject to a lot of different forces. It doesn't necessarily represent the overall opinion of the Korean public. It might even just represent just the intensity of each fan base. It's possible. But it's interesting nonetheless. And I think it probably is close to accurate. It sounds right. Like BTS, Twice, right? IU. They seem to be the most popular to me. So it doesn't seem like, wow, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and this article, it doesn't tell you any of the methodology.
No. I'm sure they wouldn't want to go into that. I'm sure it's probably sloppier than it should be. This is not a political thing, so.
So Twice Nayeon was at number 5 on that poll, which leads me to the next story about how she has a stalker, and this person.
Oh yeah, I saw this. She has a German stalker.
Like, what's with that guy?
He's in love with Nayeon.
He's crazy, and he's like posting stuff on YouTube, like he is in love with her, like for real. It's like she doesn't know you.
Yeah, and if and she just needs to understand these things, and people are trying to pollute her. They're trying to mislead her or whatever, and if she just talked to him for 5 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, she would know the truth about how he loves her or something. It obviously sounds like crazy stalker talk. But hey,
oh my God,
these people have crazy stalking. This is the type of thing that happens. So I don't know. There's no reason to be surprised.
I'm seeing like so many articles about this, and it says one of them was that they gave all of Twice smartwatches so that way they can like alert the police immediately if something's wrong.
Alert the police? I feel like they should have personal security at all times.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Why do they not have like armed security?
Right. I feel like they should all have, they should have armed security at all times.
And like, I don't know if that guy is violent, but it's like, you have no idea. He
you don't know.
Be crazy. Like if he actually sees her
I mean, he
close,
could be or could not be, but you just don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
And the crazy thing is the guy, he keeps arguing. Like he'll make videos on YouTube and he's like, guys, I actually do like her and this and that.
I'm sure he does.
Need the chance to talk to her. And
right.
It's like, why are you arguing? Like,
right. And then she'll see if she talks to me. Wow, you're just so insane. Like, Jesus Christ, my dude, we understand you have yellow fever. There's lots of Asian girls out there. You can find one that looks like her. Please. Do that. Because right now he spent money to go to Korea. It's just mentally unstable.
Like, how can he just like go over there and just, I'm gonna go to the JYP building and do all this stuff and
how? I mean, how can he afford it?
And
people have different levels of
no,
wealth.
but like, why don't they have a restraining order or something?
Oh well, we don't know what the laws in Korea are like. Maybe it takes like a high burden of proof to get a restraining order. It's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guy should definitely get some sort of restraining order on him. Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically he hasn't done anything, but it just seems like he's just causing so much trouble. Like, why can't they
even if you haven't done anything, I have to think courts have the flexibility to say, hey, it's threatening enough, and the person is just threatened by you. You know?
He's causing a lot of fear. It's like they can't go anywhere. They'll think, oh, that guy might be there. He might be, trying to do something to Nayeon or wanting to kidnap her or something. And I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that the statements that JYP puts out. It's like, we are dealing with a situation. It's like, it sounds like they're not really doing that much. It's like, oh, we complained about it.
Well, I don't assume that. I don't assume that they're not dealing with the situation. I don't want to assume that. We have no idea what's happening.
It just sounds so neutral what they're saying.
We have no idea what's going on behind him. Maybe they don't want to antagonize him or something. Maybe that's their strategy. I don't know. But I don't assume that they're not doing anything.
They need to deport that guy. Like, why is he even in South Korea? It's like, you're from another country.
Yeah,
you're
true.
Obviously causing a lot of issues.
You could just deport that guy. Right. I don't assume that they're doing nothing.
No, but I don't think they're doing nothing. But the statements just make it sound so neutral. Like, we're looking into it. And it doesn't sound like a lot is being done.
Well, maybe they just don't want to let on what they're doing, okay? But I have no doubt that their interest is in protecting her. She's a big part of Twice. She's the center. I mean, I don't want to... I'm a Twice fan, so I don't want to say bad things about Twice, but there are some less consequential members that we could probably stand to lose or whatever. I'm not saying I want to lose them, but, they could probably do without certain members. I won't name names. But Nayeon is not one of them. Probably if anything happens to her, that's it for the group.
Mm-hmm.
The group cannot go on without her. she's probably like a good 35% of the group.
Yeah.
Good 35-40% of the group. As far as, fans, and as far as, I mean, she's like the second vocalist in the group. That everything, right?
Yeah.
It's like everything that she does for the group is like, it can't really go on without her. She's the center of the group. She's the face of the group. She's like the second vocalist of the group, right? So they really need to protect this. It's not going to be like, let's just put it this way. It's not going to be like Mina being absent for a couple months. They could survive Mina being absent for a couple months. They can do their stuff. They can do the choreography. They can sing their parts. When Mina's part comes along, they can just sort of gloss over it. You can't do that with Nayeon.
Right.
She is big part of the group. Way more than a ninth of it.
Like I'm sure.
I'll say like a third of the group.
I'm sure JYP is doing everything that can be done legally, like with the police. It's like, okay, we filed a complaint, and you guys are doing this and that, but he needs to like get more like bodyguards or.
Well, we don't know
does
how many.
Does he have any like shady friends that can like?
We don't know
deal
how.
with this?
We don't know. We don't know necessarily how many bodyguards he's hired or anything.
Yeah, but if you're running a label and then this is an issue, like some stalker.
Oh yeah, if I'm running a label,
I mean, I would look at things under the table.
I'm gonna like hire a guy to kill this guy. It's like, what? I don't want to deal with this.
I would really think about that. Like, can we?
That's what I would do.
Or at least pull some strings. It's like, get that guy deported.
But we don't know that he's not doing this, so let's not assume.
Maybe he knows people in the government and they can like get him kicked out.
Listen, we don't know that they're not doing this, so.
Well, he's really still there. That guy is still like wandering around.
He's still wandering around, but he has no access to the actual places that they are at, right? He doesn't have access to those places. And the place where she lives is a gated community. Although, she has to go to the JYP headquarters, at least sometimes. And he knows where that is. That's public knowledge.
Yeah.
They should at least get a restraining order for that area.
Yeah. Like,
and then if the guy violates that, they can deport him.
He shouldn't be allowed within a certain perimeter, and then...
I don't know. I mean, hey, I understand, my guy. I understand. Nayeon's really cute. I understand. I like her too. But you know what? You need to satisfy your yellow fever some other way. Go back to Germany. Go find somebody else. There's lots of girls out there. Stop being a psycho.
Yeah.
It's
not cool.
Really. Stop being a psycho. Just be one of those other... I don't want to say loser. One of the other super fans that buys all of their stuff and gets into the fan meets and then gives them a gift or whatever. And just leave it at that, okay? Just limit your interaction to that. Something relatively normal. Just be a normal person, please.
Well, this dude's probably banned forever from
Yeah, that's probably not an option for him anymore. So, you know what? Just divorce yourself from K-pop and satisfy your yellow fever some other way. Like I said, plenty of Asian girls out there. Since he was
dumb and put videos on YouTube, like showing himself.
I would hope that he is banned from all those events.
Yeah.
But just other options are available to you. Not going to say what they are necessarily. Not all kosher for a podcast. But hey, it's your own fault. It's your own fault. You could have just been just like a regular super fan and at least had some interaction with her. And then you would have, gone to fan meets and talked to her a little bit and hopefully gotten over your obsession or whatever.
Yeah.
But that part is over.
He could have done that if he acted like a normal person.
But that opportunity is over. You have proven yourself to be unstable, crazy, and basically they need to ban you from everything at this point.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that abnormal. I bet there's a lot of people like him.
Right.
He's just getting a lot of attention for whatever reason. Maybe he's foreign. Maybe that's why.
I think it's partly because he keeps like releasing statements and like he's saying, "Hey, JYP is like lying to Nayeon about what I'm up to."
Oh, yeah.
And he'll post his videos and he's like arguing with how he's been depicted. It's like,
right.
How are you arguing with that? They're afraid of you because they don't know what you're gonna do.
Right.
So you're scaring everybody with how crazy you are.
Well, yeah, I saw that story. Many times. It's been in the making.
But how do they deal with guns in South Korea? Like, can bodyguards have a gun, or can?
Oh, I don't know.
Certain people.
I don't know at all.
They probably can't.
I think they probably have pretty strict gun control laws.
Probably people can't be like concealed carry.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't think.
It's not going to be like America, that's for sure.
Right.
And I'm not trying to make a political statement about that one way or the other, but it's probably a lot stricter than America.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you can hire bodyguards. They do their job. Guns or not, they can do their job. Bodyguards can do their job.
Yeah.
JYP needs to be hiring, and we don't know that they're not hiring these types of people.
Yeah.
Protect your artists. So we don't know that they're not doing this, by the way. My guess is that they are. Why wouldn't they be? Twice is a huge money-making operation.
They probably are. It just seems like they're doing more defensive things, like, but then just letting the guy still like roam around.
I mean, but maybe those are the only options available, right? Like, what do you mean by offensive things? Like sending out a hitman? maybe when it's quieted down, they can do something like that. But no, they're not going to be sending out a hitman, right? Because then the news story will be crazy stalker found dead. Why? Who has an interest in this guy being dead? Right? That's not a great story.
Well, I don't know. Do they have conspiracies in South Korea? Like people mysteriously
every place has
turning
conspiracies.
up dead.
Every place that people can think for themselves and can let their imaginations run wild, every place like that has conspiracies.
Like, why did this
and
stalker?
so that means every place.
Why did this stalker hang himself?
Right.
Weirdly.
Why did he hang himself? And then shoot himself in the back 18 times.
It's like that's
weird.
strange way
That's
to go.
so weird. How did he stab himself in the back 12 times? It's very odd. Things we'll never know, right?
Like shrug. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was very flexible.
And
Whatever. I mean, these are the types of things people want to know, but we'll never know, apparently. Yeah, so it's not the greatest time to be doing something like that. So maybe defensively is the best play they have. But I'm confident that JYP can protect their artist. Don't worry about that. We're not going to wake up tomorrow and hear some terrible headline that Nayeon's been harmed.
yeah, I hope not. Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeartRadio, and now on YouTube. New episodes are weekly. Be sure to comment, review, or rate in the podcast platform you're using. Follow us on Twitter at OurBTS, at HOURBTS. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.